The African Strategic Discipleship Movement, ASDM, a group of people proposed to disciple strategic disciple makers who can disciple and mobilize movements of intentional denominational discipleship starting within Africa's denomination for the purpose of producing followers of Jesus Christ and releasing the potential of the global church. They held a 6-day West African cohort at the Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion Secretariat, Abuja, from the 7th to 13th of October. Their meeting was made up of 35 leaders from 13 countries and discussed to encourage and empower each other on discipleship making and how to keep expanding their work. They did so by telling their stories, achievements and challenges, reports from the leaders, seminars, prayer sessions and lots of others. When asked about what birthed this discipleship movement, the global director, Ernie Frey, told his story.
I was a former pastor in the U.S. and came to Africa 10 years ago, lived in Ethiopia, and really became overwhelmed by the magnitude of African denominations. And so I have the privilege of working in African countries to try to establish a movement that will make Christ-like disciples. When we look at these African churches, the question is how do we go about seeing people changed? Where do we see transformation? I mean, Christianity is the message of transformation. But you look at a country like Nigeria, which has many, many, many believers, and you look around and say, where do we see the change in our culture? And so we came to the conclusion that we might have big churches that might have many members, but we don't have a lot of people called disciples who are really, 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 truly following Jesus.
On what is expected from the movement after the cohort meeting, Mr. Free said their aim is to conquer the continent of Africa.
In this room, we have 35 leaders today from 13 different countries. And each of these leaders are going to go back to their country, all right, and they're going to begin the process of three things. First of all, they're going to go back and they're going to realize that the starting place of change in my life is not in the church, but the starting place in my life is my intimacy with the Lord. So to open up our relationship with God, to begin spending time in the Word, in my families, and then in my local church, to begin to bring 5, 10, 15 leaders around me where I begin to pour my life into their lives. And as that begins to spread in their local church, it will go to their denomination, it will go to other pastors, it will go to other denominations, and it will move up to be a national movement, a regional movement, and then a continental movement.
Also speaking to ACNNTV were two leaders of the movement from the Church of Nigeria. They have these to say.
Many of the church leaders that have come all over West Africa. We have people from Assemblies of God, from Baptist, from Pentecostal circles, from Ghana, all other West African countries. Virtually all the countries are represented here. So from West Africa. And they have all seen that as what they are taking away from Nigeria. The way it's working in Nigeria, that it can work in the country. That discipleship is doable no matter your structure. It's contextualization that is very, very key. And what we told them is that we're able to do this because we are following the Jesus model. He humbled himself. All right? Discipleship helps it's done within the context of humility. People are able to see Jesus in you, and you're able to relate Jesus to them.
The aim of this meeting is to gather church leaders because the ASDM have been doing this all over Africa. They've reached about 30 countries in Africa. It should be faster when we divide into regions. And so we have the northern region covering North Africa, the southern region covering Southern Africa, the eastern region, and then this is the western region covering West Africa.